Hey, this is Meghan with Girls Gone Right.
And this is Peyton. And today we have Karsten Short with us from Ark Dating.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies.
Hello.
Very happy to be here. I've been watching your guys' success over the past year, and it's just so cool to see you guys blowing up like this.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We're excited to have you on.
Very happy to be here.
Yeah. And today we are going to talk about dating. This seems to just be our wheelhouse, although I don't know how great of dating advice we're giving, but hopefully it's good enough for you guys to come back and listen to more because we have a professional expert with us here today.
Professional, yeah. I do what I can for the people. So I'll do my best for you guys today. So I got my coffee. They've supplied. We got our fingers. We're going to have a grand old time.
Our fun fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Ark.
So Ark, we are a Christian dating app. And I know the moment like people say that, you think, oh, Christian dating. Like, is it Christian mingle? It's like, no, like we want to be fun.
I'm a cool mom.
So our whole target base is like Gen Z, millennials. And our kind of mission is to kind of cure what's going on right now because we are in a modern dating crisis where nobody is dating anymore. Like relationships are on the decline. Nobody really cares. Everyone's in situationships or whatever it may be. So our whole goal is just to kind of change that shift, by bringing in, a basis of faith, people that do believe in Jesus and bringing people together for intentional dating. We believe we can solve a lot of the problems that people are facing in today's society. So
that's awesome. And
very excited.
Where can they find this app?
They can find Ark in the App Store or the Google Play Store.
Nice.
Hopefully you don't have Androids. But if you do, it's in the Google Play Store. Just Ark Christian Dating. If you actually just type in Christian Dating, we're like the fourth one on the list.
Oh, nice.
One. So we're getting up there. We're
Very
getting our little ranking up. But
so it's for fun Christians.
Yeah, fun Christians. We do a lot of fun, like cool events like on campuses. Like when colleges start back up again, we're going to be, at TCU, Baylor, SMU. We'll probably be out in Knoxville, Tennessee at UTK. It's going to be a grand old time. So we're really excited. We have a lot of fun plans and just kind of fun parties for people that, get down with Jesus, get down with fun people in life. And it's just, I don't know, just very, very blessed and fortunate to be working with this company.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's great.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And how old are you?
I am 29 years old.
Wow.
I got my first grays coming in over here. You can see him over here. But
I saw him without a hat. His hair is just dark.
It's rough over here. It's getting to the point where like the hangovers like the next day. It's a 2 to 3 business day recovery. It's really tough.
Yeah.
So
it only gets worse.
It does.
2 to 3 is like the low ball side of things.
It gets worse the older you get.
I think you keep saying they say vision goes like when you get into your 40s. So I'm like, thankfully I'm not that close. But
thankfully I'm not there yet.
I don't know what I'm gonna do for my dirty 30 yet, but it's gonna be dirty. Let me tell you.
Oh snap! Well, maybe we'll be there.
Hashtag fun Christian.
Yeah, right. Very fun Christian. So, I'll make it to church on Sunday. I promise.
Yeah,
so.
that's a good Christian. So today we're going to do a dating then versus dating now because I feel like we just have a good amount of people on this podcast that can give us like the spectrum of dating because Meghan is 32 and married. And I am 26 and single.
29 and single.
Yeah, so we can, open it up and have a little room for discussion and opinions and talk about what dating looked like back then versus what it looks like now. Because I feel like from when you were dating back, not way back then, but like when you were in your 20s.
It was way back.
Yeah, it was not way back. But when you were in your 20s, I'm sure it looked different and it was way different than just getting on an app and being able to swipe on all these people.
That did not exist when I was around.
So what did dating look like when you were dating?
Oh, I mean, you had to go out.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Facebook and MySpace and Instagram was fairly new, but it wasn't a realm of communication to get a date.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a hangout space online versus now. But back then you just went out. You went out to the bar, you went out to even a restaurant. Guys weren't as fearful as they are now to approach a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, guys would just come up to you and it would get annoying, Just come up to me all the time. Not really, I'm just saying.
Catcalled everywhere you go. Yeah.
We just got catcalled in Idaho. We felt real good.
Idaho? Will they throw a potato at you? What happened?
No. I mean, he was
How
so
do you
loud.
catcall in Idaho? Like, do you drive a tractor up and be like, girl, what's your number?
No,
like,
it went like this. We walked by and he went, damn!
Like it was actually So loud, not discreet.
So
and then it happened
loud.
again.
So it clearly worked, obviously. Like you guys
Clearly.
are so swollen
Immediately
after that.
snapped it back and
like,
gave all the information.
Here's my contact.
Yeah, we were like, oh God.
Ugh.
And then we were like, that's okay. We still got it.
That's okay.
Yeah, you had to go out. You had to interact with people. Pickup lines were a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's the worst pickup line you think you've ever gotten in your life?
God. What are you doing here?
What are you doing?
Is that like
You're supposed to be at home.
That's just like a pickup line that
guys would think that was so smooth to just come up to me like, so like, what are you doing here?
You're like, what are you doing here?
like,
what are we all doing here?
So
I don't know. Life.
You guys are in Tennessee now. Have you guys gotten the "you're the only 10 I see" type of pickup line?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's got to be so overused out here.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So clever, boys. So clever.
Another one was, and people might still do this today, was DTR.
DTR?
Define the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah.
Or that's old,
It's
but
old.
new to us.
Okay, so this might actually come in handy for you guys. So DTR, define the relationship, was something that was a conversation between you and your significant other, a little bit well into the relationship, where you just kind of set up the expectations of what you want out of the relationship and where it's headed. That way you stay on the same page and you're still communicating with that person, because I feel like sometimes in dating, the communication kind of falls off and things get awkward, and then you get so far into the relationship that something might happen and you might feel stuck and you didn't have that conversation of like, so where are we? And it can be tough. It's hard because you might hear things that you don't want to hear, but I think this generation especially needs to hear what they don't want to hear.
How long in was this conversation taking place?
I would say about 3 months.
3 months. I feel like that's the standard. I feel like whenever I've dated, it's always been like what I call a 90-day free trial.
Yeah.
And then we decide if we want to renew the subscription.
Exactly.
Because it's like, you should know within 90 days how you feel about a person. Yeah. And people that don't, I feel bad for those people that are just in like situationships for years. It's
That's
like,
terrible.
Yo, what are you doing?
I don't feel bad for those people because it's their fault for
they chose
participating in that.
Get out of there. Like, do not stay in that. I mean, it's just, you're wasting your years. Like, and that's, I think everyone's looked back on that from like their past dates. And it's like, yeah, you can like learn lessons. And I think that's a good, like important thing when it comes to past relationships. But if you're just sticking around and just wasting your prime years on people that truly don't care, I mean, it's just, I'd feel so bad for those people. I do, but I don't. It's like, just take the leap of faith. Like, nobody wants to be alone now. It's like, I can't be single. You get these people that have been in relationships for 3-4 years and they're like, how do I be single? Like, I don't know how. And they get afraid or like they're attached to like that person because of that. It's just really sad to see.
What is the definition of a situationship? I need to know this.
I'm curious.
Situationship. It's like a romantic or sexual relationship that is not considered to be formal or established. So exactly. Yeah. So DTR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's eliminate situationships and have the DTR.
Yeah. But I just think back then, dating was so different because people truly were dating to marry, to find someone that they wanted to marry, to have kids with. Yeah. Like they wanted a wife. A man would be like, you know what, I'm ready to get married. He would go out there, seek a woman that was wife material, and that's who he would date. And then they would get married. Yeah. Like there was no situationships. There was no stages. There was just, I'm going to find a wife and I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a family. And I want someone that's going to be a good partner to take care of kids. It wasn't like, oh, she's hot and she has a lot of followers and like she just gets all this attention. Like, no, men were like, that's going to make a good wife. That's who I want raising my kids.
And I feel like that, like, and I study this stuff a lot, like working for a dating app. So in this space, like you get to see a lot of like how social media and dating apps do dictate and kind of regulate how these things go. I mean, it's so sad to see that followers actually became a thing. Like that girl has 10K followers. Like she's got to be hot. Other people find her hot. Like it's so sad to see that's become, she's looking over here like, what on earth? Like it's so sad that's become a thing.
What's the phrase? Ick.
Yeah. Like,
that's giving me an ick.
That's just the most, oh my God. And some of the data you see is just so shocking, like in the dating world now. I mean, it's,
I couldn't do it. I'm just going to tell you, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Because where I think immediate rejection in person is okay. I think rejection through the screen and the swiping. It's like, I've never been on these apps, so I don't really know how they work. But I feel like I would be in my head questioning myself over and over and over again about, well, why did they swipe? Am I ugly?
Yeah, they don't even know you. So it's like they don't even get the opportunity. If you know me and you don't like what I have to offer, that's fine. It's not for you.
Yeah.
But I do think, obviously, the dating app, it is surface level in some sense. Like you get to put some prompts of a little insight on who you are, but people mostly judge on your face. Like they judge the book by its cover.
Of course.
Yeah.
And like that's like your immediate attraction level. And I think to some extent that is important. But I think also I've met people in real life that I probably would have never swiped on an app for, but I met them in real life and it changed the way I felt about them because like there was a different chemistry of like the conversation. Like, wow, I really like him, but if this was a dating app, I would have never swiped on him.
Of course, yeah.
But it's like you meet someone in person and you have that immediate chemistry and you're laughing.
I feel like it's probably more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting to meet people in person.
What?
Yeah. Ooh, surprise, surprise.
So I've heard, because I used to play in a band, so I was around a bunch of guys all the time. And one of the things, a big turnoff would be like if they went up to a girl and as soon as she opened her mouth, she had a bad, like a really annoying voice. No.
Yeah.
Or like turn around, butterface.
It definitely can be alarming. Like I've had that, like where I've approached somebody and then the voice just sounds like something bad you hear in the morning. Like it's like your alarm going off in the morning. I'm like, whoa, what is that? Like,
but that matters with attraction, right? Like if you meet someone, you don't like their voice and that's going to drive you crazy. Unfortunately, maybe it's not there because attraction is really important. And I think when you see someone on a dating app, you're like, oh, okay, so he's muscular, he has abs, and he's tall, and like that's hot. And then you swipe on him and you meet him, and it's like, okay, well, he's, I guess, what everyone else would call hot, but I don't feel attracted to him.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, did you guys see the movie Grown Ups?
Yeah.
With like Adam Sandler and like the one big like macho like dude who's just all shredded like walks up to him and he's like, what is it, Scandinavian or whatever, or Saskatchewan? Sorry, my Scandinavians. He like comes in with the high pitched voice and they all just crack up. They're like, everything was on steroids, but his voice.
Oh my God,
like, that's so real. Like it's a thing. The voice is a thing.
I would say probably everything on an app is surface level, like you said, because everyone is putting probably their best photos on there, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I need to put my best pictures. I really wonder how old these pictures are.
Yeah.
That's true. Like,
so you don't even know if you're getting that truthful version of that person.
I've caught guys using pictures from like 2018. Like you will find them on a dating app and then you're like, oh, he's really attractive. And then like maybe you start dating them, you follow them on Instagram, and then you're like, whoa. You see it on Instagram and you're like, this is 2018, babe. This is not you now. This is why you don't look like that.
Do like a deep scroll and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, Jake, please.
I actually saw a funny meme of this. There was a guy standing in front of the Twin Towers, and on his dating app, it said like 23 years old. But this is obviously a dating app like now. So it's like you were 23 when the Twin Towers went down. Like it's so bad.
And that's,
it's just it's almost like catfishing at that point. Like if you're not updating pictures, it's like whoa. Like but once again,
you don't look like you did 10 years ago. No, I'm sorry, we changed.
Not,
MySpace actually was the original Catfish. So Neve Schull from Catfish, that show came from the documentary that he made, but I remember being on MySpace and seeing so many fake profiles and hearing friends that would meet someone on MySpace and then go meet them in real life, and it's not the person that they met. Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, it really
so creepy.
is.
So it's like that kind of started this whole facade of, well, I'm just going to either create this make-believe person or use somebody else's photos, or I'm going to use really old photos to see if I can get somebody to like me.
To see if I can just catch anyone.
That's got to be a real lonely life, though. Like, imagine just sitting in like a basement and just like talking
I've never
with
been
people.
catfished.
Oh my, I haven't either.
That's so good. Someone impersonated me.
Oh, that must be flattering.
I had to send them a real nasty gram. They tried to use my music on their page, and I said, this can get real ugly real quick, or you can just take it down. And she took it down.
Wow.
I'm watching you.
So there's a bad side of dating apps, right? Like,
yeah.
The fact that it can be surface level, there's so many options, it's overwhelming. But I do think dating apps have a place and a purpose. And especially in 2023, it's really relevant because unfortunately, it is kind of harder to meet people in person just because guys are afraid of getting canceled for approaching women in certain places. And it's like the Me Too movement. Like, it's kind of scary for a guy to do that. So I think the time and the place for it. And I think one of the best things that dating apps have done was you're able to put your values on the pages. And a lot of apps, Hinge, Bumble, other dating apps will ask you like your religion, your political affiliation. So I think it kind of is beneficial to be able to filter out those values because that's something that you need long-term in a relationship.
100%. And I think people like there is the negative stigma, and we'll get into that a little bit later in terms of dating apps. But the positive side of it is, kind of flipping the script. Where do you go and meet people now? I mean, we were talking about this earlier. It's like, do you go into a gym? Do you like hit on people at the gym? Like, where are the common places where you actually meet people? Do you really want to meet somebody at a bar? Like, that's not a fun place to meet somebody. You're going to meet somebody that's out at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday and drunk. Like, yeah, that's a wife right there.
Yeah, like,
for sure.
He seemed great. I was drunk. He was drunk. We really hit it off.
Yeah, wow, what a story. I can't wait to tell the kids that one.
Yeah, hit it off with anybody that's drunk.
Yeah, but I mean, dating apps, if you think about it, really give you superpowers because you can eliminate certain groups of people. Like, okay, every girl with a boyfriend, gone. Yeah. Every guy in this club, gone. It's like going to the club with superpowers in a sense. Like, oh, all the liberals, get those blue haired out of here. Like, we don't want them. Like, all the people that are atheists, like, I can move, like, all of the people that don't align with my values and just have those people. The problem is even after filtering this much, we have so many options on dating apps. And I think this is where dating apps have taken like a negative turn is when you have unlimited options and people are carrying past trauma from old relationships. What happens is you have a lot of people, and the stats show this, a lot of people dating but not getting into relationships. So it's like if the goal is to get into a relationship, it is a lot more difficult on these apps because we have unlimited options on these apps. Like it's created like this perfection mindset. Like obviously we should have high standards, but it's creating different type of standards where it's like, if this person doesn't have one little thing that I need, they're gone. And it's not just like non-negotiables, like Christian conservative. It's like, he doesn't have, he's not, I guess like height, I guess would be something different. A lot of people factor in height, but it'd be like, he doesn't make X amount of money. Like he's done, or he doesn't do this. And it's created, I know from talking with a lot of dating coaches, because it's part of my job as well, and seeing like how much these guys, like normal guys, are struggling in the dating world. And I'll get around to that in a second, but it's a sad time right now, like dating, because there are so many positives to it and it really looks like the best option. But in the long run, what else really is there? I mean, and when you get into these apps, it's like, you're competing against thousands of people. I used the analogy earlier, like imagine going to your dream job and you're one application out of 1,000. I mean, how do you expect to compete with that? You might get past the first round, which is like a first couple of dates, and then you're competing with all of the other MBAs, and it's like a chase at that point. And it's hard. You're going on all these dates, trying to see people, and that never ends up really materializing on these apps. So,
do you think that it also creates an anxiety within the people on these apps when they start to date somebody they found on it, and then they're always in the back of their head going, well, what if there's somebody else?
Yeah, and there definitely is, because like I know people that have gone on these apps and they've talked with people, and that person is on like dating currently, like at the time of them going on their first date, dating 8 to 10 other people. So how can you actually, and that person's me. So I actually went on a date with a girl, and she told me that she was playing like Bachelorette pretty much. Like she like loved everything about me. Oh, of course. Like I was done.
That's
like
the ick.
I got the check and was just like, see you later. Like I'm not going to play
for
that.
You.
Yeah, but it's just
that's horrifying.
That's the scheme. Whether people are open like she was or not. Like when you have unlimited options, and I'm going to get into that in a second, because that's a whole other conversation of like why these apps are so priced in. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but these type of people exist, and they're using it for that immediate gratification the same way people use social media. It's like a quick dopamine hit. So you come on these apps and you're like, oh, look at all these people that like me. Oh, that guy good looking, that girl's good looking, like whoever it may be. And you get this quick hit of dopamine the same way as you post a social media post and it gets 100 likes in 5 minutes. So it's warping people's brains to like raise their standards to an unattainable level pretty much. And that's why dates are on the rise and relationships are not. So
we know someone.
I feel like if you are going into dating with the right reasons, like if I'm going to go on a date with someone, they are going to know right off the bat why I'm there and what I'm looking for. I am very forward on the first date because I just think if that's going to scare you off now, that's fine. Like I'd rather just rip the Band-Aid off.
Of course.
Like dating to marry, I don't want to be seeing anyone else. Dating to me, like I want to give one person my full attention. I don't want to be going out with a bunch of random people during the week. Like if I meet someone, if the date goes well, I only want to see you and I want to see where that goes. And that's being intentional. And I think that's giving someone a fair chance. And I don't know, I felt like I maybe haven't really had to deal with that unless I just haven't known about it. But I'm very forward about it. And I think as long as you're going into an app, like not to say that online dating is scary and like this is what people are doing. Some people are doing that. But I think if you can be super honest about it and tell people why you're there and just be so forward and talk about these really important things on a first date, like your values.
Of course.
Where you stand politically. If that's like something that's important to you, bring it up, have that conversation. And if someone's like doesn't text you back or they don't message you after the date, that's fine. They're not for you. Yeah, God's plan. That's fine. It's not like, oh my gosh, I scared them off. I have anxiety. And like, am I good enough? Like, no, stop thinking about that. You were true to who you were. And if someone doesn't like that, move on.
Of course. No, that's definitely, and we need to clone that mindset. Like we just need to make that instilled for everybody because that mindset really isn't common. Like I said, like there are more people out there playing. And the reason why this is, and I'll kind of get into the negatives of dating apps since we talked about the positives and how great they can be. The reason why dating apps have kind of ruined in a sense, and I'm talking about like your traditional like Tinders and Bumbles. What's happened, and even Hinge to an extent, what's happened is it's created this abundance mentality that I was speaking about earlier. And when you have, especially for women, and most people don't understand this that have this conversation, there are more men on dating apps than women. And men are much more like unselective, whereas women are very selective on who they swipe on. Men are going crazy on there. They are swiping right like insane amounts just to like get that attention or like that interaction.
That's horrible.
And what happens is when most girls go on dating apps, they're not actually swiping. They're just going through their people that have actually interacted with them. And we've seen the numbers. So like we know this is a real thing. So what's happening is girls like, so this is the most insane part. So they did a study on Tinder and they took like a published male model, like one of the best looking men they could find.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
And like a 300-pound like overweight female. At the end of 24 hours, the male model had 124 likes. The female had 743.
What the crap?
Yeah, like the men are the ones that are swiping, and the girls are just getting the validation.
So what's happening, and it's and this is part of the reason why the dating market is so skewed. Is you have problems on both the right and the left. It's always so divided. The men and women kind of contribute to this problem. So what happens is men are much less selective. So you have some of the best looking guys, and I hate to put numbers on it because it sounds so superficial, but you have guys that are like 9s and 10s, like good looking guys that are swiping on like 5s because it's just low effort for them. Like they can just tell that girl, hey, come over.
Wow.
And I'll hook up with you. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Shame on a woman for interacting with that. Because if a woman is going to allow messages like this right off the rip, like, hey, come over. Babe, that's not a date. He doesn't want to date you. This is going nowhere. You're getting yourself into a situationship.
We used to call booty calls.
Yeah, that's a booty call.
Yeah. It really is. And what happens is that girl, because she slept with a man that is a higher value man or like perceived higher value, she thinks that is her new standard of relationship.
No, you're a wench.
So, exactly. So the whole feminist movement has really empowered this to where they're making a lot of these girls say, go sleep around, and then that will like raise your standards in a sense. But every high value man knows the moment a girl starts sleeping around with multiple men, your value drops. Like a part of you is taken. Your soul leaves every single time.
You hear that, you feminists?
Take that.
Your value drops. If you can't value yourself, how's anybody else going to value you?
That's so interesting that you said that men swipe on so many girls, because I go on the app and I'll see like one person that I like and I'll swipe on them, and then that's it. I don't really like swiping. Like if I'm having a conversation with them and I'm like going to go out with them, like I don't talk to anyone else. Because I pursue one person and one person only. I'm like, this is what I want.
And that's how it should be. Yeah, okay. That's how it should be. Like you take your 90 days, you spend it with that person. At that point, you should know.
Why would I be talking to anyone else?
Yeah, literally.
Why do I want to tell someone else about my day?
And that is the problem with dating apps right now is nobody's doing that. Like a lot of people, I'm telling you, like how are people going on 5? I guess it's a free meal for some girls if that's what they're into.
Imagine 5 guys texting you and you having to re-explain your date to 5 different men. Like to me,
my goodness.
This is like, that's a lot. I don't want to sit there and have I don't want to explain this to everyone. This is crazy that people are actually doing that. And I think it just takes away, like, you want attention, but it doesn't matter. It matters where you're getting that attention from. And then they're like, well, I haven't met anyone and it's not working for me. Like, well, because you've just you're not intentional about it, and you're dating wrong.
Them. You're meeting as many as you can. And
you're
being.
I don't want a pen pal. I don't want to text someone every day. I want to see you. I want to go on a date. I want to spend time with you, and I want to see if there's something there. If there's not something there, move on.
We can cut off. Yeah, exactly.
Cut it off. Don't keep texting that person. Don't feed into that. And I think that's just a really hard thing that we see. It goes for girls and guys, and I think the benefit is for girls is they get, like you said, free meal. So a lot of girls will just like play into this.
Are hating boys or hurting, or what walls are hurting. So, but you hit it on the head, and really what happens because of this. So when I talk about those girls that are the 5, 6s, et cetera, that are sleeping with these men, what it's doing is it's pricing a lot of good men out. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some weirdos, and fellas, we need to step up our games. Like, there are some dudes out there, like I have heard some horror stories of how weird some guys can be. And I'm sure you guys have, I mean, just like the guy that picked up on you in Idaho. I mean, there's weird dudes out there that have no idea what they're doing. But there's also a lot of really good guys that may be missing like a quality or two, that are having so much more difficult of a time getting a date just because they don't have the high paying job, or they don't have the height or something of the sort. And women now are almost
I like that you said height.
Yeah.
They don't have that. They're not tall enough to ride the ride.
Yeah, and that's one thing I actually will. I mean, I'm 6'3", so I'll hold on. I'm like, height does matter, of course. So I'm just kidding. But it's created a market now where women, because those women who are not necessarily actually dating in their own category, like they're not dating those average men, because women by nature are competitive amongst each other. I had a girl tell me that's not true. I'm like, go to any sorority house. You're going to see girls that compete against each other nonstop, like and competing for guys and attention. And it's like, that's kind of what's happened. It's like, what girl is going to want to hear her friend brag about, oh, my boyfriend who's super hot took me to Mykonos and we got to do this, that, and the other. Subconsciously in her head, she looks at the guys she may be seeing and says, I need to do better. And what it's done is kind of price out a lot of guys that are just your average looking or average income men, because they're not providing a lifestyle that girl wants and that she can brag to her friends about. So a lot of guys are, and I talk with dating coaches about this all the time, they are like, their messages are just flooded with like normal guys that can't get dates.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Like, oh, sorry, you have a normal job and you can't take me on luxurious vacations. What happened to like, when I look at someone's profile, I will see if they put conservative in their bio, if they put Christian in their bio. And then I'll kind of like see what their hobbies are. Like if they are holding a fish, like typical guy post, always holding a fish or something like that. Or like what their hobbies are, and if their hobbies align with mine. Like not necessarily like I want a guy to be motivated, but I don't think that directly correlates with how successful they are in their career just yet. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like more the hobbies. Like, do you work out? Do we have things in common that I can see from your profile? But it's like more about family values. Like, is this someone that I'm going to see myself marrying? Like, okay, we have like a lot of those things in common that build something really long, that lasts long term. Not like, where is he going to take me on vacation? And that's like, fine. I'm not looking for anything else.
And I think some people aren't realizing that a lot of people in relationships now are like, when you go into these dates, they're bringing in so much baggage because of that immediate gratification and like the dopamine hit that people need and they get from these apps and from social media, which if you think about it, when Instagram came about and started to grow into what it is today, that's when the stuff started happening. Like
100%.
Dan Bilzerian flying models out to his yachts. Every girl's like, I want to be on that yacht. Every guy wants to be Dan Bilzerian. 100%. And it created this super toxic culture where we are prioritizing the wrong things. Like instead of family values and like actually building towards something that matters.
You took the words out of my mouth.
It's crazy. And the more you study, the more you realize this is only getting worse.
Well, it's a facade.
It's
not real. And I think people want to live in this fantasy world of, I want this. Yeah. I see that. I want it. It's like a kid in a candy shop. It's like, or walking or window shopping, you know, you see an outfit on a mannequin. You're like, well, I have to have that. But now it's, well, Kim Kardashian is wearing this. So I have to go buy that now. Or Kylie Jenner is putting this in her face. Although she just she just tried to say that she doesn't do that. But it's just all these trends.
I don't buy it.
Oh, she 100% has a whole lot of stuff in her face and in her ass. But it's just creating this mentality of gimme, 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 gimme. I want it now. And they're not satisfied. There's just, it's almost like a spoiled brat trying to get whatever they want.
But this is all godless, right? Like these people are putting something in front of religion. Like if you had God at the top of mind, it doesn't matter if you're carrying a Louis Vuitton. It doesn't matter where you're vacationing. It doesn't matter how much your spouse makes. It does to some extent, but you don't need a man that has the best career. And this is, now we're experimenting. Now we know what it's like to not have God in our society. A lot of other countries, religion is just a given. Every place is closed on Sunday because people are going to church and spending time with their family. That's not here. That's not how it is in America. We are very different, and you have the choice, freedom of religion. And a lot of people are choosing not to do it. And now we're seeing how that is going for people. And it's turned people into just self-serving. They want all the nicest things because they want attention. They want to appear different on the outside than they are on the inside. A lot of people care more about how people see them versus how they see themselves. Like, I don't care how anyone sees me, but it matters how I think of myself. Like, at the end of the day, if I feel like a shitty person because I just have been not a good friend, or I haven't been a good daughter, like calling my parents and like seeing family, like that makes me feel terrible. I don't care what anyone else thinks about me, but everyone else is just sort of turned to the outsides.
Yeah, and I think when we live in a society that's addicted to pleasure, I mean, we really are. If you look at like what people are addicted to, they're addicted to TikTok, they're addicted to pornography, they're addicted to all of these different things that are warping our minds. And we don't realize it because the society tries to normalize it. So when you have all of that, and that's why I believe like what our dating app is trying to do is bring that basis of foundation. Like if you are chasing Jesus, you can find a partnership with somebody because there is something in between this pleasure-induced world. And I'm not saying all Christians are perfect. We're definitely not. Like obviously everybody knows that. But when you have something you're chasing toward and you're working on yourself every day to get closer to God, you rely less on these crutches that other people can't live without. You know, there's people that will sit on TikTok for 3 hours a day and just sit there and just scroll. I mean, it's insane. There's guys that they said that erectile dysfunction is at like an all-time high right now amongst young adults because guys are so addicted to pornography that they're getting overstimulated by what they're actually seeing in the studies.
To watch porn
and the stuff that's allowed on these platforms is basically porn.
Yeah, and
naked girls.
It is the Twitter. It's all over Twitter.
Naked girl. Like I get like the spam accounts looking at my story. It's like my pussy is Sorry, everyone. No, but it's like these are the kind of, it's like the spam accounts. And then I'm like, what? This is obviously a spam account. I have to go block them. And it's like all these nasty, nasty things.
Oh, I look at mine all the time. It's like wet, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, or like my first time. It's like.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Okay, and what people don't realize, like, and I feel so bad for people. It's like you've gotten to the point where you're addicted to pornography. And if you really break down what that is, you are addicted to watching other people have sex. Yeah. Think about that for a second. Like that is what one of the biggest addictions that people face right now. That's so creepy. If you really break it down and like look at what you're doing.
That's so creepy.
It's disgusting.
And then in return, these people are making a very fulfilling or a very monetized career out of it.
Yeah, and this is where the men, like the same way I spoke about the women who are pricing themselves into a market when, I don't know if I got into this topic fully, but the women on these dating apps are only going for a very small select group of men, so they're all competing against each other. Well, what's happening is they're getting mad at those same guys when they're sleeping with other people, but they're pricing in the same people and giving them those options. So like men at the top 1% on these apps have all of the women that are like swiping on them or trying to be, you know, in their favor. So there's that whole argument. But on the flip side, you look at what men are doing. They're the problem because they're also swiping like crazy on these apps and lowering their standards just to get a cheap lay. And then you have the same men that are subscribing to OnlyFans accounts. Like as disgusting as OnlyFans is, they've created a market for it. Like if you think about it, guys are literally spending their hard-earned money to watch a girl get naked on cam. Like
imagine having like such low of no self-confidence to the point where you can just take a naked picture of yourself and sell it on the internet for $10.99.
I think it's self-worth.
Having no self-worth to be able to just sell a picture for like, oh, I'm just going to name my price and I'm going to throw it on the internet.
What's interesting is these people are probably not considering themselves as porn stars, but I'm sorry, you are.
Yeah, you're putting a price tag next to your naked body.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, girls used to get mad when their nudes leak. Now it's just like $7.99.
$7.99 and you can see my nude.
Yeah, like,
oh
here
no,
you go. Like,
it's out.
Oh no, I'm in the boys group chat, but now I can monetize it. Like,
at least I'm getting paid off of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... I don't know how we got to this point, but society has been in such a rapid decline over the past, like really since social media took over our lives. I mean, we cannot go a day without using social media. I mean, my work is associated with it, but I watched The Social Dilemma and I saw how damaging like social media is to your brain. And I tried, and I literally lasted like a week. And then I was right back on my phone. I was like, oh my goodness, we are so warped.
From that screen.
We were actually having this conversation a couple of days ago, and I think what really did it in was Vine.
Oh, yeah.
The attention span of this generation, or Gen Z and the kids coming up now, it's like when Vine came out, it was 7 seconds to have your viral moment, and all these kids were trying to do it. So they would swipe until they found the right idea that they could copy or get ideas to create their own original idea to come out with a 7 seconds. 7 seconds. Imagine that. Yeah. 7 seconds is the attention span.
It really is. I mean, and you see it too if you go through like the analytics of videos. Like, because we post a lot of content on our Instagram, and I'll go back, and part of my job is to look at the analytics. Yeah. And it's like average watch time is usually between 5 and 8 seconds. Yeah. It's absurd.
That short attention span.
Because we have so many other, I mean, think about it. You're trying to watch a video that's 3 minutes long, and then you have 2 texts, you got a notification from this app, you got a notification from this app. We are constantly drawn. And I'm really curious to see what the long-term health effects are going to be from something like this. Because we don't have the studies right now, but it's going to be something like along the lines of like smoking. Like, remember people back in the day used to smoke, and they thought it was good for you.
It's good for you. It's so cool.
We're going to find out that there are long-term effects. I think what's causing a lot of depression, what's causing a lot of of these things that big pharma is just making a killing off of. I think it literally is a direct correlation of social media. And those companies, they'll never die because they are eating that up, because the big pharma companies are happy. The companies that are selling these medications to kids,
it doesn't actually fix the problem.
It doesn't. It's just a treatment. It's the same thing.
It's an addiction ripple effect. You're addicted to social media. You're addicted to an app. You're addicted to another app, another app, another app, and then that's creating the depression. So then you get addicted to the pharmaceuticals that these pharmacies and doctors prescribe you to, and then you're like, well, now I feel better, so I can go back. So it's like just this ripple effect, and then it becomes this endless cycle, and you just never get out of it. It's sad.
It's really sad. I don't see an end in sight. I think that's the sad part. And I think why it's so important, you know, when you do go on dating apps or you do go on dates, why it's so important to establish core values and like unique or like specific values that you share with another person, because the world's only getting crazier. We all know this. Like there's nothing about the world that's like turning in a positive direction. Like we see the agendas that are getting pushed today. And if you don't have a spouse or you don't have a partner that you are seeing everything eye to eye with, where you can literally, you know, raise your children in a certain way, you know, you can get them involved in the church, you can get them into a private school or homeschool or whatever it may be. You got to have a partner that's ready to go to war with you. Like when I go on dates, I tell people like, I need somebody that I can go to battle with. Like not figuratively, we don't have to go up in arms, but I need somebody that understands the world is only getting crazier. Yeah. And if we do not take action now and like solidify our values within our kid, we're going to lose our kid. Yeah. And it's happening everywhere. Like you see people that are even raised in great, you know, schools and then, or like going through like the private, you know, Catholic or private Christian schools, you know, or they're homeschooled, and then these kids go off to college and they just get indoctrinated. And it's like, you have got to be as parents on the same level moving forward, because it's only going to get worse as time goes on.
Speaking of parents and kids, do you see a lot of like dads on the app?
Not necessarily ours, but from research, yeah.
Okay.
And I think the area I live in right now, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. So it's like you see the daddies or whatever girls call them that are all over the app. And
Daddies.
I think in big cities, yeah. I think in big cities, that's a plague too. And, I think there's a place for it. I think you do see a lot of single like parents that are on these apps, and I guess good for them. But it's definitely a lot more than you'd think, I guess, to keep a short answer to your question. So
okay, so now we're gonna get into the dating now. So what it looks like now, something that is new that I feel like was not back then. We have the talking stage.
Oh, that was around.
Yeah.
So you guys had a talking stage?
Yeah.
I feel like now it's kind of, the talking stage directly correlates with the situationship, right? Because it's this gray area. It's the box where you can put someone where you don't necessarily know if you see a future with them, but you kind of like them. So you're going to put them in a gray area. And that kind of opens the door for hookup culture, right? Like, well, we're not dating, but we're talking and I'm going to hook up with other people.
Yeah. And what causes this is the options, like the unlimited, boundless options that you have on these type of apps. And, when you are a good-looking guy or a good-looking girl, you're not going to have a problem getting a date. So the problem is you get a lot of people that, like I spoke about earlier, you have people that have so many options that they're so selective, they don't want to choose just one. And if they do, they're worried because their mindset is this. It's why date one person when I can date 10? If I date 10, I'm not going to get hurt. I don't have to commit and potentially look like a fool to one other person because it's almost like you have to both be on the same page. You can't there has to be that communication. Like you said, you have to speak on that first and let people know. And a lot of people aren't. Like, it's almost weird to have that conversation by some people's standards. Like, if I went on a first date and was just like, okay, I need to know this, and this about you. And if you're not this, then we're not going to work. It's like, by societal standards, that's odd. Like, a lot of people don't want to hear that. And everyone wants you to operate from this like abundance mindset of like, I have unlimited options. Like, that's the new norm. And it's crazy.
So how about this? Dating is scary. It is very scary. You open the door to possibly getting hurt, to possibly hurting someone else. You have to be vulnerable for it to work. And it is very scary. You have to go into it knowing that things might not work out. It is the unknown, but you have to also know in that same swing of things that you also might fall in love and it might end very well. You might get your happy ending, but you have to risk it. You just don't know. And I think a lot of people are living in this scared of being vulnerable. Like, I'm scared of getting hurt, so I'm just not going to risk it at all. I'm just going to spread and divide and put my eggs in a lot of baskets to see what works out. But unfortunately, you have to just recognize that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have that fear, but there's a way to deal with it. And a lot of people aren't dealing with it correctly. Like, you have to risk it all for someone.
Well, I think a lot of people, they're not healing from past trauma and like past pain. Like, I haven't been in an actual relationship since when I was, it's been about 3 years. And I was in a really tough relationship. The girl ended up cheating on me with a sugar daddy. It was just like absurd, like how this all went down. Yeah, a little, I don't date the Instagram models anymore. It's a terrible idea. But yeah, it's just like you go through the trauma and you heal. But a lot of people aren't healing because they need that immediate gratification. So it's like, I get out of a relationship, let me just go and line up 5 other people that I can talk to. It's a distraction from actually facing your feelings and what you went through. And that's just a really sad thing that's happening in society. And until that gets addressed, that's a huge problem. And if you're not healing from trauma, how can you expect to bring your best and bring your A game? It's like doing a podcast and you don't sleep for 2 days. Like, that'd be difficult.'re not going to be yourself. You're going to have to drink a lot of coffee.
That would be like us trying to do it yesterday.
Like, so tired.
After a red eye.
I think people are so afraid to feel things.
Yes.
People would much rather scroll on their phone, feel that instant gratification and not feel, okay, if I don't scroll on my phone, maybe I am a little lonely because I don't have a person and I feel like I really want to get married or I really want to meet the right person, but it hasn't happened yet. So now I feel a little lonely. Like, it is okay to feel those things. It's okay to feel a little depressed sometimes. It's okay to feel anxious sometimes, but people are so afraid to actually sit in their feelings that they run from it with distractions. They run from it and go to porn. They go to hookup culture. They go to the apps and And that this is where people are spending their time instead of just dealing with the feelings, because it's okay to feel these things. It's not like you have to not feel it at all. You can.
It's taking like the glass half empty approach. Like instead of being optimistic of like, hey, I could potentially go on like a date and like spend time with somebody and potentially fall in love. People aren't watering their grass anymore. They just think the grass is greener on the other side. So they're just going through and trying to find whoever they possibly can that meets their needs. Or it's sad that it's gotten to this point, but some people go and say, look at this person I went on a date with, to their friends. And it's like, that's their gratification, like other people's approval of that person. And that's just so low and so sad to see in our society. But that ties right back into what we were talking about with social media and this instant gratification. They want their friends to think that person so great too. And it's just, that shouldn't be the case. Like you should choose a partner based on what you feel, not what other people feel about that person.
You were hitting on a good point, but I think that this younger generation is so afraid of sitting in their feelings, but also they're so caught up in the trends of being told what to think, how to think, what to like, what to buy, who they should be attracted to, who not to be attracted to, what is attractive. They're being told and fed all this BS. And rather than going out and experiencing experiences on their own and by themselves, they're like, well, no, I need somebody to tell me how to do it. I need somebody to tell me if this guy is hot. I need somebody to tell me if this girl is hot.
Make me feel good.
Make me feel good. Will you give me the affirmation that I'm going to have a good time? It's like, no, honey, you have to go experience that yourself.
Literally.
Think for yourself. And it's so sad to see that people are so caught up in this, of what people think of them, in the validation versus dating can be awesome because you can have a family. You can find someone that is going to be your person. And that is the most beautiful thing in the whole world. Like we witnessed one of the most beautiful marriages this weekend.
Shout out Ash and Mike.
Yeah, they have such a good marriage. And you see this and like, that's what people should be wanting.
I got goosebumps just thinking about them because they're just so
look
perfect.
At them and be like, wow, this is what I want. Not look at all these guys on a dating app like, oh, I want him and I want to go on a date with him and we're going to go to a dinner. Like, no, you're looking at the wrong thing. Look here. Look at finding a husband. Look at having children in your future. Look at building a long-lasting, happy life of permanent joy.
We forget the basics. It's like you got to learn to crawl before you learn to walk. And you have to think it's like one thing at a time.
We don't need to be sluts. We don't need to be in situationships. We don't need to worry about the texting rule of not texting too soon. Like none of this matters. And it's so silly is what it is. It's silliness.
That is still the craziest rule to me. Like if you see like how interest works now, it's like, okay, you meet somebody you like and it's like, all right, I've seen your message. I got to wait like 4 hours to text you. It's like that doesn't like nobody feels good doing that. Nobody can tell me you feel genuinely good. Like if I'm texting, like if I'm on my phone and I see your message, I'm going to respond. But I'm a busy person by nature. Like I have a lot going on in my life. So, but there are people, and I've seen them do this, like, oh, I got a text. I got to wait till tomorrow morning to reply back to them.
To let it fester.
It's like people are more focused on pretending that they're busy than actually being busy pursuing or chasing something. I mean, or like having goals or something of the sort. It's like, oh, I got to play the game the right way. Like I got to wait 2 days after I met somebody to tell them I liked meeting them. Like it's just dumb. It's the whole, it's so backwards. I think there's like, well, like a lot of people like Peyton and I that are just like, we're so over this crap. Like this is so stupid. Yeah. Like
come pick me up, Mom. I don't like this anymore.
I want to go home.
I'm ready to go.
It is tough, but I think there are some people, there's hope that there's some people out there that have the same values as you and that are going to take dating seriously and that are intentional. So I think that's the hope, right? Like you can be, it's hard, but you have to weave out those crappy people. And if someone has a red flag, they probably are a red flag. Walk away.
100%.
Like red flags does not mean staying fixed.
And that's a question we have to ask ourselves on dating apps. When you see certain people on dating apps, is like, why are you on this app? Like,
why are you here?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
You see some people like,
why are you on a dating app?
Wow, you have like all of the different. So I'm on a dating app for a variety of reasons. Obviously for work, like we pull a lot of people.
And to find a wife.
Yeah, and to find a wife. Obviously. I think everybody is. I mean, I hope everybody is. They aren't. But
you're like nothing serious, just a wife.
Yeah, just a wife. You know, just a beautiful farm. Like have all of our little animals. Like have a couple horses and some chickens we can mess around with. So. And I don't know. Like, I think, you know, being on dating apps, like I said, I do believe that you can find your person on a dating app. And I think it's just about, like, with our app, for example, we are trying to weed through and give people a platform where you don't have to, like, go on Hinge or Bumble or Tinder and try and weed through all these people to find somebody with your value.
Yeah.
You just come on this app and it's like everybody has your value. Everybody is focused on intentionally dating. And I think that's the most rewarding part about my job is working within this company. I get to create strategies to help people find godly relationships.
That's incredible.
And I think that's one of the only ways we really rebuild our society is by bringing people that have similar values together and like bringing them to marriage, like bringing them to God together where they can start a family and instill those same values in other people. They always say like the term, we got to outbreed the left. Like that's a real thing. Like it's crazy because the leftist values that are getting pushed are also a direct attack on Christianity. Yeah. So although we our company, like we have certain views, it's difficult to differentiate yourself as a conservative company, I guess. Because there are somehow liberals that are Christian as well. And I still don't understand that, how you could be liberal in this day and era. Like I got like the traditional Democrats, like, okay, you guys like big government for some reason and you like climate change. But now with like some of the stuff that's getting peddled, it's like, and it's almost where it's become like a non-negotiable. Like I could never date a liberal because the things they believe in are being peddled in their movement is so anti-God.
Oh,
it's
100%.
just depressing. And you see these same people and they're addicted to all type of medication. They're sad. They're vaccinated. Like all of this stuff comes in and it's like, it's depressing. It's really, I almost feel bad for them, but I don't because everybody has free will to make their own decisions and they chose that path. So by all means, I'm just not going to associate. So
Well. So what do we think one of the biggest differences from dating then versus dating now?
Ooh, apps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely the biggest one.
I think it's apps.
Biggest change. Oh, yeah. What was it when we were with Mike? He said the woman who owned the land, he asked them, how did you meet your husband?
Well, he was the only man in town.
Yeah, the only man in town. I'm like, how wholesome. Like, there was just no one else. Like, there was no other option.
And Jenny.
Well, people actually talk to people. Like, people actually had conversations. Like, I tell guys that are struggling on these apps, or I'm like, just go walk up to a girl. There's a good chance she's not getting approached. Go be funny. Go be yourself. Like, obviously, I work for a dating app, so I want people to be on our app. But, like, go out and talk to people, too. Don't be afraid. Like, they're not going to bite you. I mean,
do it the old school way,
my
guys.
Goodness.
I can't tell you like the last time a guy has just come up to me and talked to me. I don't know. And I don't know when the last time was. It doesn't happen.
I legitimately think it's because they're so addicted to everything else, like all of the instant gratification. They don't know how. Like some guys literally have no.
I agree.
It's sad when you watch them do it too, because it's like, dude, what are you doing? You just go introduce yourself. Like you could literally be honest and say like, hey, I was talking to my friend. I saw you looked absolutely gorgeous. I just figured I had to come over here.
Oh my gosh.
If I did, like,
if a guy came up to me and said that, I would be like,
be like, I didn't want to feel bad by like not
marry me and then run away.
It's like, nobody does that anymore. Like everyone's just on apps
so
swiping.
Cool.
It's like, why do that? And potentially, because the problem is we live in a society that doesn't encourage failure. So if, like
we talk about this.
Yeah, if you go up and like approach a girl and she rejects you, oh well, it's not the end of the world. It's not like your life is affected in that big of an issue. And some people either A, have too big of an ego, or B, don't have enough of an ego where they can't take that rejection. So they're going up and approaching, like if she says no, my life is ruined. And it's like, it's not though. Like it's not that big of a deal. There's going to be another person to speak to.
Exactly. Yeah. LeBron James has this new school. I don't know if you guys saw this.
I did.
Where everyone's a winner. No one is a failure, except people are failures. It's okay to fail. Like you said, people are just so afraid of it. Okay, you can still work towards success and fail here and there. It's fine. It happens and it builds character. You need to go through your pits to hit your peaks.
Imagine where we would be if we had one chance to do anything. There's nothing out there you get one chance to do like anything. Like you can start a business. If you fail, you can start another one. Imagine how depressing society would be if we just fail. Like when you failed, you couldn't do that anymore. Yeah. Like that's how people treat this. Like, oh, if I go up to this girl and she rejects me, it's the end. I can't go talk to any other girls again. It's like, no, you get better. Like like improve. It's a muscle. Like you have to condition it. And if you don't condition it, just like riding a bike, I guess like riding a bike, you remember, but it like a muscle, you have to work these things out. You have to want to improve and get better. And communication is something humans are terrible at because we don't want to communicate. We want to communicate behind a screen instead of having that physical interaction with people. And it's just so sad to see. And I hope something changes. I hope people actually wake up hearing something like this and just go talk to people. Like take the outcome out of the equation. So many people are so focused on like, what if she rejects me? What if she likes me and I fumble? Like they're so focused, like just go have a good time. Like just go talk with somebody, have a conversation and don't have any like reason to think about the outcome. Just enjoy yourself. And
just take the bull by the horns and just do it.
Literally.
Just do it.
Like,
just do it.
I guarantee you
get a shirt like the Nike Just Do It Ark Dating app. Just do it.
Love that. Love that. I don't think guys realize like you're going to impress a woman way more going up and approaching her and having like a genuine conversation with her than you are sitting behind an app and like chatting amongst the 1,000 other people you're talking to. It's just how it is. I mean, I don't know why people don't do it. So it's not hard.
Dating's just that easy, guys. Just go talk to people. And it's not that hard. Just go have conversations. It's okay.
Just go talk to her.
Just talk to the girl. You don't even have to download an app. It's not even that scary. You can simply just go out of your way to have a small conversation. And that's just how you do it.
Starts with hello.
Wait, that was a commercial or something.
No, it's a movie line from Jerry Maguire. He goes into this big old speech about how much he loves her and cares for her. And then she goes, "You had me at hello."
That's how easy it is.
That's how easy it is. Just like the movies.
Just like Adele's song. So, hello from the other side.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Karsten.
Yeah, this was honestly so much fun.
This was great.
I love sitting and talking about this type of stuff. And I think the more we open up these conversations to people, the better off people will be. I mean, I think what you guys are doing here is just so tremendous. Like you guys are giving people, not just from like a conservative aspect, from like that Christianity perspective. I think your guys' mentality is like, obviously you're married. You have some of the best qualities in terms of like what you're looking for and how you approach dating. Like we need more people like that. I think by having a good face to talk to people about that gives people an outlet other than what's out there. And the more people understand this, like I believe that's happening a lot more. We're seeing a lot more content creators that get on and want to talk about this type of stuff and have these painful conversations because they're not easy to have. Like you're pretty much telling somebody your approach is failing and this is why. And now you need to take effort to fix it. And most people don't want to put the effort in to fix it and to work on themselves. And I'm so happy for what you guys are doing. It's so cool to see your guys' success, and I'll be rooting wherever I'm at in the world. So,
thanks. We appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for coming on. It's Ark Dating, and you can find that in the App Store, guys.
We'll link it below.
Thank you. I know my boss will appreciate it. I'm sure he's going to watch. So.
Oh, yay. Hey, Bob. Hello. Hi.
Bob, he's great. So
hey, Bob.
That's one thing that's cool about working in a company like that is everybody is a believer. So when you work with people like that, like I've been in work environments where it's just so toxic and crazy. And then I come over here and it's like, I'm not walking on eggshells.
Crazy.
Like, I'm with
I love
people
my job.
Yeah, like just some of the best hearted people. And I believe when your intention is that pure, you're going to build something big. And I'm so blessed and fortunate God brought me to this position because
awesome.
There's going to be some lives that are changed. And we've already had like relationships too. That's the coolest part. That's what brought it to life for me was like seeing people that met on the app and like hearing their stories. It's just like they're meeting parents now. It's just it's
there you
awesome.
go, people.
Filling.
Professional
stories.
matchmaker. So.
Yeah. Go ahead and check out Ark Dating, guys. And hopefully this advice helped. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.